Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll be talking about Stripe subscriptions with NextJS 13, the Stripe API, and well, that's pretty much it. So let me just show you a glimpse of how this would look by the end of it. This will kind of be the app which we're building. It just has basically, if I sign in, uh, it's using next auth. You just use anything. I just wanted a basic starter working over here. I've logged in over here, and if I click on this and click on billing, I have these four plans which I can subscribe to. Currently I'm not subscribed to any plan. I can subscribe to mobile, basic, standard, and premium. These are the four Netflix plans which I took from there. I can click on subscribe on any. Let's say I want to subscribe to standard. I click on subscribe over here and it takes me to a Stripe subscription. Let me just enter a demo credential, some random date, CVC and K, and click on subscribe. And in a few minutes, let's just see what happens over here. Few seconds actually. And it works. So I have subscribed to the standard plan. The plan renews on whatever date, this 1 month from now. And I have subscribed to the standard plan over here. I can also cancel a plan, which will show cancel over here. Let me just show that as well. Manage subscription, just go and click on cancel plan and click on cancel. No thanks. Go back and it will show your plan will be cancelled on this date. So it won't renew after that, it just cancelled. So this is the basic app which we're going to create. Let me just zoom in so that you guys don't have a difficulty in seeing this. This is built with Shadcn UI as well. We have amazing Stripe integration, and just before I start, I wanted to talk about what all things I use for reference over here. One is Skate Shop by Sadman, who has a wonderful repository, open source NextJS repository, which you can use to, see a lot of stuff about NextJS 13 in specific. Taxonomy by Shadcn, again, wonderful repository to look through, and again, Shadcn's UI library. So these three things are the things which we will be using as reference. Again, you don't need to see these in this video. I already have the code. But you can always go through these two. They are amazing open source repositories to take inspiration from. So to start off with, I will actually put this, let me just actually put this right now. So I have the starter repository over here. You can click on the starter branch over here. I will update it with the main branch with the final code over here later, and I will deploy the final project so that you can go and check it out. But you can go, and what you would like to do is basically clone the starter one. You can just, where did that go? Yeah, you can download the zip and then get started with that. So let's do that right now. I'll use Digit instead, but I forgot how to do that. So just to get this working, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's download the zip. And that's gone to my downloads. Let me just get that. So once you have gotten this starter up and running, what you need to do to start off with is just install the dependencies. I have used pnpm over here, so I'd recommend you use pnpm so that the log files don't conflict. But feel free to delete that file and then use npm or yarn if you want. This might take a second or two. So yeah, once that is done, what we need to do next is to get the env file working. I by mistake actually pushed my env credentials over here. I will remove these later, but you don't need, you shouldn't have the env file over there. That was a mistake on my end. But just remove these. I'll remove the Google client ID and client secret later. So to just start off with, this should just work. I'll change this to site subscriptions over here. And if I look at the Prisma file, let me just go through the basics on how this is working. This is using NextJS 13. I have the SRC directory, the app folder with the API working with next auth, and these are just working with auth options, just like normally they would. Okay, my terrorism. Okay, so I have this over here. This is not working because I need to get Prisma types up. So for that, all you need to do is pnpm prisma db push. And what that would do is get my database working as well. So if I go mysql dash root dash mysql dash root and use uh, this one, use Stripe subscriptions demo, sorry, Stripe subscriptions, and then show tables. I have these 4 tables up and running in that database now. So that gets me up and running with my database, and I also should have the types for this now if I restart my language server. In a second or two, you will see that if I shift K over here, I have the types for the user. So I have this auth setup over here. I have the schema, just basic stuff, and this page over here. So I also have Shatscene configured over here using Shatscene's CLI, more about which I've talked in my video over here in the top right, is it? Yeah, top right. So I have that configured, and I have a few components over here, including the avatar, the button, the drop down menu, and the navigation menu. I don't think I've used the navigation menu here, but feel free to look through this repository and find out more about it on your own. And just to end this, I have a sign in button and a sign out button, which are client components, which because I need to work with the on click handlers. So that is probably it for talking about the starter. So let me just get this up over here. Pnpm run dev or pnpm dev should work, and let me open this. In a second or two, it should come up. It's taking way longer. NextJS's development server is a little slow nowadays. Okay, that's up. It shouldn't be this big for you. I've just zoomed in a lot, but I'll zoom in just because viewability. But basically, if I try signing in, let me just open the PNPM Studio as well so that you can go through that as well. PNPM Prisma Studio. And if I open that on localhost 5555, if I go to, yeah, I have this user table. So if I sign in over here, yeah, so I have this up and running. I have this page. I don't have this billing page set up right now, but I have basic auth set up over here. So you don't need to worry about any of that. And if I go and refresh this page, I should have one user over here. So to start off with, first of all, we're going to get our database up and running. For that, what we're going to do is, let me just get my... Okay, so first of all, we're just going to set up our basic tiers which we want inside our application. For that, first of all, I'm going to create a component, a config folder inside my inside my src folder. If you can zoom in over here, you will be able to see subscriptions.ts. And let me just create that. Okay, so if I just look at this over here, so I just want a basic 4 tiers inside my application. I'll just copy paste this from my reference code, but I will have a type for the subscription plan, which will have an ID, basically just a reference ID for myself, not showing anywhere on the page, a name, a description, a Stripe price ID, which I'll talk about in a second, and a price. So I have these 5 things over here. So To start off, let me just talk about what the Stripe price ID is. Let me go and log into my Stripe. If I just go to my dashboard over here, why is everything so slow today? Yep, so I have this page where I have my products, all right? I have 4 products set up over here: the mobile, the basic, the standard, and the premium. I already have these set up, but to create them, just click on add product, name it, add a description if you want. Scroll down, click on just keep it to standard pricing, keep it to recurring, and add the price, and then save and add more or save product depending on what you want to do. And I have these 4 products set up over here. For the price ID, I can go into one, I will go down and then copy this to clipboard just like that. I already have this set up in my reference, so I will copy and paste that over here, but you will have to manually do that depending on your prices. I will remove this Stripe app later, just so don't try to use it directly. Yeah, just to make that clear. Alright, I also need the Stripe API key, which you can get by going to settings, I think. I haven't done this in a while. I just copy paste my old Stripe ID from somewhere else. Developers, I guess. Yeah, developers, go to API keys and then get the secret key, alright. So I will copy that as well, and you will need to paste it just like that. Alright, so I get this Stripe secret key and these 4 over here. So I will get a Stripe utility, not utility, but a function basically set up over here. This is also pretty boilerplate code which you will use in any standard Stripe app. Basically, we're exporting the Stripe function which instantiates the Stripe class which comes from Stripe. So I need to npm add Stripe and add Stripe/Stripe-js. I've covered a lot of this boilerplate things in my Stripe checkout video, which you can check out over here in the card above. Right, so I have Stripe dependency installed now, and I have this process.env.stripe secret key set up as well inside my .env right over here. Alright, so I have the basic Stripe things set up. What I want to do next is have the billing page show my 4 cards, right? So inside the app, I'm going to create a billing folder and a page.tsx over here. I'm going to copy paste a lot of things. Bear with me over here. Just you will have a lot of this in the GitHub repository. You can go and copy paste those. But basically, I'm just going to export default an asynchronous function named billing, and then I'm going to return this div right over there. Alright, basically just a minimum height, basic padding all around it, and I will have my grid system with all my tiers over here. Alright, a lot of this isn't working right now, so get the card imported. Oh, for the card to be imported, I need to install the card from shadcn UI. So pnpm dlx shad cn-ui latest go to the start and import card. Till the time that happens, I'm going to remove this part. Okay, I'm not going to remove this part, but let's get the session from the next auth. So I'll go session is await get auth session, which is basically a utility for a utility which I also created in my previous video about Stripe checkout, but I have this just returning get server session and passing in auth options over here. If that is not visible, let me just get this over here so that you can see that. Yep. So let me just click Y over here. So I got that, and I get the session over here. Session.user does exist. Then I will go and click on subscribe for it. But this is actually not needed because I don't show that page and I redirect it if it doesn't exist, but that's fine. Let's go. If session does not exist, then we return redirect to slash, and let's get this from next/navigation, that, so, and we can remove this part over here, and we can actually remove this part over here as well. I will show that later what that is. Let me just say sign in over here. That should be fine. This button is coming from ShadCN UI library as well. I'll get the card, I'll get the header, I'll get the title, I'll get the description. All these are from the ShadCN's UI. Just go and check that out. So I want these subscription plans now. I can obviously import those because I have those in my config. And I should have my, which one was it? This one. Yeah. Let me just go billing. Oh, I didn't set that up properly. Let me just go to my header. Was it? Or was it my navbar? Yeah, the navbar component, and I should make this link. Just like that. And this link should be imported from next/link, and that basically goes to /billing, and it has a drop down menu item inside it. So if I go over here and click on billing, let me just refresh once just in case. I don't think the dev server is that good. Go to this, click on billing, and that should go to /billing over here in a second or two. Yeah, so I have these four now. Amazing. Let me just zoom out to 100%, will look like this for you, and just zoomed in for readability. So I have these four plans now. When I click on one of these, this is showing sign in, which it shouldn't. That is weird. I actually do need a next.secret over here. Next.secret, is it? Next.secret for this no secret warning. I need something else. I don't think so. Let me just, it shouldn't show sign in here. Oh, sorry. Go sign in over here. Subscribe basically. But that's fine. That we could look into that later. But I should have this fine now. Just click on subscribe. So basically, if I click on subscribe on one of these, why is this not working? Try not save this. Oh, yeah, I didn't save it. Yeah, so I have the subscribe over here. If I click on subscribe, it should redirect me to the Stripe page. And once I finish all my checkout, it should redirect back to this page and then show my current plan basically. So for that, what we're going to do is, first of all, set up our user database to have, the data of which is coming from Stripe basically. So inside of Prisma schema, I'm going to again copy paste a lot of this. I'm not wasting a lot of time writing this on my own because it doesn't make sense for you guys to see me writing all this. But basically I want Stripe customer ID, Stripe subscription ID, Stripe price ID, and Stripe current period end, which is basically the time in which it is ending. Customer ID, which is this basically. If I go to Stripe and I look at customers, if I look at a customer over here, say K, I did a lot of transactions like that. But basically I have this ID over here. This is the customer ID. Subscription ID is the subscription which is coming from the person. If I go to payments and look at the subscription which is created over here, basically this is the subscription ID, and the price ID is the price of the price which we talked about earlier. These are the price IDs of the four products basically. So I have those four over here, and Stripe current period end is when the Stripe subscription ends. To make it clear, price is basically kind of like a product. A product can have multiple prices basically, so that is one price and an ID is assigned to it, just like you can see over here. If I go to say products and go over here, this is basically the price ID for this. So that is the database setup for us. To get that working, let's go pnpm prisma db format. First of all, if you want to format these, and then pnpm prisma db push, that should also run the generate command. So I should have, oh, did I not save this? Sorry, I forgot to save it. Sorry, what did I do here? Let me just close this. Yeah, I didn't add it properly. Let me save it properly this time and then run this. That's fine. Also note the fact that Stripe customer ID and subscription ID will be specific to a user, specifically unique to a user. So if I get this now, I have these four over here. And if I go to my Prisma Studio is a little bad at accommodating with changes, so you will have to basically restart this. Let me open this. So I will have these four over here, and they can obviously be optional in case a user does not have a subscription already. All right, so that is it for setting up the database on our end. Now, to make things a little bit clear on how this will work, all right. First of all, what we do is when we click on this subscribe button, we will redirect to a I've already talked about this, but I'll iterate this. When I click on this, it will redirect me to a Stripe page. Now the Stripe checkout page, once that is successful, it will hit a webhook endpoint on our web app with the metadata which we passed in while subscribing to it. Now the metadata which we sent in will contain the user ID. We will get back the user ID from the subscription. We will get back that user ID and update that user to get the Stripe subscription ID, customer ID, the price ID, and the current period end. So then when a person comes back to this page, we will basically reevaluate that all those things are correct, and if those are correct, then the person is basically subscribed to that plan. So for that, basically let's have another file inside a lib folder called subscription.ts. all right, for this, let me just, yeah, so I'm going to basically export an asynchronous function get user subscription plan. All right, this will be for the current user which is signed in. So we get this session, which is basically using the get auth session which we saw earlier. Alright, dot slash auth add slash lib slash auth, whatever you want. If there is no session or no session dot user, we can throw new error user not found. Alright, now since the user exists, we can get the user using await db.user. I need to obviously get that db, not able to import db, which is weird. Import db from dot slash db. Await db.user.find first, where the id is session.user.id. Now if again a user does not exist, we throw new error user not found. This is where now the main part comes in. How is a person subscribed? One, they have a price ID. Two, they have a current period end, and the current period end should be greater than date.now. Now the current period end is formatted in such a way that you need to get a time and add 86,086 million, yeah, 86,400,000 to it. There's a lot more specific to why it works, but just know that it works like that. You can read more about it by looking at the Stripe documentation, but I won't go into that right now because I'll have to explain a lot then. Just know that user dot is Stripe price ID exists, right? They should have a customer current period end, and the user dot stripe current period end dot date get time plus 86,400,000 should be greater than date dot now. All right, let's get all the plan. Let's get the plan to which the user is subscribed as well. By doing plan is, if the person is subscribed, then it is plan store subscription plans dot find, where that's about right. P dot Stripe price ID is user dot Stripe price ID, else it is null. That's yeah, that seems to be right. Also, we need to see if the user is cancelled, if the subscription is cancelled or not. So we assume that it is not cancelled first of all. Now, if subscribed and user dot Stripe subscription ID exists, right? We go, let's get the Stripe plan by doing await Stripe, which comes from the dot slash Stripe, and we get the subscription from the subscriptions API and retrieve it using user dot Stripe subscription ID. All right, then we just set is cancelled to that period end basically. So we go Stripe plan dot cancel at period end if the subscription has been cancelled with the add period end flag set to it. All right. Basically, this says if it is cancelled or not, cancelled at period end or not. Then what we want to do is just return all these things. Let's return the destructured part of plan. Stripe subscription ID is what I want to be. Oh, I forgot this can't be seen. 1 second, sorry. User dot subscription ID Stripe plus current period end is that. Then we can go Stripe customer ID as well, and is subscribed and is cancelled. So these are the things which we're returning from this. If I just go and hover over this, returning back Stripe subscription ID, Stripe current period end, Stripe customer ID is subscribed as cancelled, and these 4 more are basically destructured part of the plan. A plan is basically store subscription plans consisting of these 5 things. All right, so I have this utility function for me. I can use this anywhere inside my application if I want to get the user subscription plan. So what happens when the user clicks on that button? I can have an API which basically we call that API. It sends back a URL which I want to redirect to, but NextJS 13 now has server actions. I will also mention this, that you do not use server actions in production. It is not meant to be used in production right now. It is experimental and in alpha. So if you're using this in production, do not do it the way I'm doing. Move this to an API route handler and call that route handler, get back the URL and redirect it. Do not use server actions in production right now. But I wanted to cover this inside this video because this is a video about NextJS 13 in specific, and I wanted to cover this right now. So inside the app directory, I'm going to make an actions folder underscore slash underscore action slash, and have a stripe.ts file inside this. We will call that function in a second, but basically what I want to do is I will have let me just see, billing page over here. Instead of this button, I will call another component over here. For that, inside the components, let me create a manage user subscription button.tsx. all right. For that, let me just open my reference again. I'm sorry, I wrote a lot of reference for this so that I don't mess up a lot of things while writing this. So bear with me when I'm moving across my screens to look at that. But export function, I'm basically exporting this function. Export default is also fine if you want to do that, right? I will take a few props. I'll talk about those props in a second. But basically what I want to do is I will have a form over here, return a form over here, which will basically do something on submit. And I will have a button, which basically we want to get the plan from the user. So we will get a few things over here. Okay, so if we have a current plan, then we show manage subscription. If we don't have a current plan, then we show subscribe as the text. So let's just start off like that. We want to get these current plan. Let's say manage user subscription button props. I go interface manage subscription. This current plan is a boolean. Something like that. So is current plan exists, then we go sub manage subscription else subscribe. Basically, if the plan which we're talking about right now is the subscribed plan, then show manage subscription, else we want to show subscribe, right? So we have this, and now if I just show manage user subscription button over here, I don't know why this is doing it, but alright, something like that, and I need to pass is current plan. So for this, let me just open. Yep. So I need to get the subscription plan basically. So I go subscription plan is a way to get user subscription plan. I don't need to pass in anything. I can say is current plan if subscription plan dot ID, or let's say Stripe price ID is plan dot Stripe price ID. Stripe price ID. Alright, something like that. If that is true, then we show that, else this is fine. Oh yeah, I do need to make this a client component as well. So that is fine for now. I want to click on this function and then redirect to the page I want to go to. So what I will do over here basically is when I click on the button, all right, I create a Stripe subscription. I get back the URL which I need to go to and I redirect to that. So for that, I will now create the function which I was talking about. All right. So inside the actions, I will export const manage Stripe subscription action asynchronous function. I will take a few things over there. Basically, first of all, let's go lib utils and I will add an export function absolute URL over here. Let's get the path, which will be a string. Return something like that, yeah. And then let's go, if this does not exist, then I go localhost 3000. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. So I go const billing URL, absolute URL, billing. You will see why I'm doing this in a second. So basically, I want to see if the person is subscribed and if the person has a customer ID and if there is a current plan. then we do something. So I need to get these three things over here. Let's go interface, manage, subscription, type subscription, action props. So I go is subscribe. Oh, sorry. Is sub is subscribed, which is a boolean. This is optional actually. And null. And is current plan, it will be a boolean. So I have these three. Is subscribed, Stripe customer ID, is current plan, GitHub Copilot is great. I recommend using it a lot. If you're a student actually, because it's free then. But yeah, if I have these three, then I'll create this type session, or actually, yeah, session creating, which is the session which I want to redirect to basically. So I await Stripe, which I import from dot slash add slash loop slash Stripe dot billing portal dot sessions dot create. There are a few things which I need to add to this now. Okay, so this is the case where the person already has a subscription, where they will go to the manage subscription place, right? So we're just sending the customer, which will be the Stripe customer ID, and the return URL which the person wants to return to after the whatever they have done with the manage user. So we'll go billing URL. This is the in the case if the person has a whatever subscription, and we return a URL with the Stripe session.url. Basically what this do is we will return this URL to the front end, and the front end will redirect to the session URL. If this does not exist, we need to create a new session for a checkout basically. So we go const Stripe session is equal to await stripe.checkout.sessions.create. There are a few things which I need to pass into this. I am not going to waste your time by writing all this, but success URL, basically the URL which the person wants to go to after success cancel URLs. Also the same go back to slash billing. Payment method types, just take card. Mode is subscription, not the other thing which was being used. I forgot what the other thing was. Yeah, you can go payment instead, but I want to go subscription. Billing address collection, do whatever you want automatically. There is another thing which you can do is required, but we'll go auto. Customer email is the email which the person has provided, so we will also take the email over here. And Stripe price ID as well, I want that. Stripe price ID string. Stripe price ID is basically the price ID to which the person wants to be subscribed to, right? Line items, this is just the way this is supposed to be written. This is just how the API is, nothing I'm doing specifically. Here's the main thing. I'm passing this in this metadata. This is very important because when the webhook is called again, this is passed into the webhook again, and you take this user ID and update to this user. So make sure this is there for you later. Do not miss this because this is very important. I want this user ID as well. Let's get the user ID. Okay, so I got that. Once this is done, let's just return a URL, Stripe session.url. Amazing. So this action is done now, right? Now I go back and do something over here. This is basically what I do with server actions being called by client components. So for that, let's just go to nextjs.org/docs. Command K, click on search server actions and go to this. All right, custom invocation using start transition. This is basically what I'm doing over here to have loading state. You can use optimistic, but I also want to get back the data and then redirect using window.location.href, which can only happen on the client. So I'm doing this inside a client component instead, using custom invocation using use transition, but the function will basically be called in the backend or the server, because NextJS is basically a backend application. So over here, I will say, let me just call this a handle submit function, I guess. So will have a handle submit function which will have an event which would be react dot form event and a generic of HTML form element. Let's go e dot prevent default. Okay, here is where we want to start the transition. For that, let's go const is pending start transition. This is just React transitions. You can read more about this in the React documentation. This is not specific to Next.js, by the way. This is just for loading states and all that, made much simpler. Start transition basically, and everything happening inside of this, if it is already loading, then is pending will be set to true basically. So I have this, I want to set this to asynchronous. So here, let's have a try catch block. Error console.error error as error dot message, and let's toast. Okay, we want the toast from as well from shadcn UI. Let's do that in a second, but till that happens, let's get the const session equal to await manage type subscription. No, wait, what was it again? Manage Stripe subscription action. Why is this not coming up? Did I not export this? I have. Oh, sorry. Manage over there. That should be good. Manage Stripe subscription action. And this is taking a few things, obviously. Stripe price ID, do we have the Stripe price ID over here? No, so we will take that. Stripe price ID, I want that from behind. Okay, these are the things which I want. I'm just copy pasting this instead of wasting your time now. I want the user ID, the email, the current plan. If this is the current plan, is subscribed to any plan in general, Stripe customer ID and Stripe price ID. Obviously let's get those over here. User ID, email, is current plan, is subscribed, is Stripe customer ID, Stripe price ID. So I pass in all these things. Let's go email, user ID, is subscribed, is current plan, Stripe customer ID, and Stripe price ID. Alright, these are the things which are passed into here. If session does exist, then we go window.location.href is equal to session.url. If that does exist, that else we go /dashboard/billing. That should probably be it. Then we go let's set this to disabled if it is pending, and let's have a loading state over here as well. So if it is pending, we can do loading, but to make this even better, you get the loader 2 icon from Lucide React, and then go class name. Oh my goodness, class name. What the hell? Class name mr2 h4 w4 animate spin. Alright, so we have these. We need to get all these props from here as well. As you can see, the type is basically shouting at me over here. Let me just paste that and show you what this is doing. This is getting the user ID from session, which is the authenticated session, the email, which is session.user.email, if that exists, that, or an empty string to work with the type error, which I'll get here. If that is not there, this will basically tell me string or null is not assignable to type string. So we go like that. Stripe price ID, Stripe customer ID, this will basically return me optional or null as well. So that is the reason why over here I've set this like this. Alright. Then is subscribed is basically if the person is subscribed or not. This can also give me back a null or an empty string. So I've just done a double exclamation mark to make this a boolean type. Is current plan is basically if is the current plan or not. We already talked about that. But now, if I go back, this should basically be working now. Let me just refresh once. Click on subscribe. And that did not work. Let me see. Bye. Oh, 1 second. I do need to do this as well. So toast description. Let me get the toast as well. That is not working. Oh, I did not need to install that. But basically, I should have the error over here, I guess. I don't have the error as well. Let me see that in a second. But if I am looking on submit, it will prevent default, start the transition. It should ideally work. Let me just see this. Toast. I just get description to something went wrong. Alright, and I need to add this to the layout as well actually. Are you kidding me? Let me just refresh this. Okay, click on this now. Something went wrong, and if I see the error, I don't get an error for some reason. Oh, oh. I do have this type secret key. Oh, 1 second. You did not provide an API key. This is coming from Stripe. Should I? Try doing that, I guess. And when this is just, let me just refresh this. Refresh. Okay, so that is coming in correctly. But if I click on this, still gives me that issue. It's very weird. I did provide an API key. That shouldn't be an issue as such. It's weird. Okay, let's try debugging this, alright? We go on submit, we click on handle submit. It goes over here. It takes, this is where the error is going to, right? So if I click on this, now it is coming from here, right? So till here it should be fine, basically. So if I try, why is this coming on the client? Oh, 1 second. Yeah, this should be on the server. My bad. And obviously we need to set this to working in this as well. So we go experimental server. What is it? Actions? Yeah, server actions. Just set that to true. That was my bad. Let me just refresh that once. That should be working now. Wait a second or two. Sorry about this. Okay, looks like it's done with that. Let me just click on subscribe now. And it redirects to the right subscribe page. Now, One part done. We're redirecting to the Stripe page correctly. But once I'm done with the subscription, my app will not know that the subscription has been done successfully. For that, Stripe has an API with webhooks. So just to show you what happens, if I John Doe, let's go John Doe, alright? And say I subscribe. Problem is, my app now does not know that we have subscribed. Now if I go back and see the button, basically, it is all the same right now. And even my Prisma Studio will not be working. If I go Prisma Studio, if I go and click on Prisma Studio and refresh, these four will still be the same, alright? But if I go to my Stripe subscriptions and click on payments and see this over here, July 31st, 7:21 p.m. It's 7:22 right now. This is done. I have subscribed and Stripe shows that I've subscribed, but my app doesn't know that I have subscribed right now. So for this, what we want to do is have the Webhook API set up. So if I just go to my Stripe and click on developers here, in a second or two, that should be set up. This is turning out to be a long video, but it does take some time to set up subscriptions. So sorry about how long this video is turning out to be, but just bear with me right now. So if I just look at webhooks over here, in production, what you would do is add an endpoint, add the endpoint where the webhook is basically hitting and do it. But otherwise, just test it in a local environment. Yep. So I just took a short break there, but basically to get this working on a development environment, go and first of all log in to your Stripe using your CLI, right? So go pnpm Stripe login. So that will do this and just click on this over here. What you want to do is you need to cross check that this pairing code is the same. Let me just get this to load in a second. Yeah, so the pairing code will come up something like, yeah, that's the same. And make sure this account is what the account you're using is the right one, and click on allow access, all right? So what that will do is log in to your correct account. Just get this working, and it should now say completed, logged in on coven.local or whichever machine you're working on. And to listen to this webhook in the development environment, this is only to be done in development. In the production, just add an endpoint and you should be up and running. But I will basically have an endpoint now. Just all these, close these. In the API, let's add a webhooks folder and a Stripe folder and route.ts. This will be localhost 3000 /webhook /Stripe. And so over here, basically, we just want a post route where we will get the request, which will be of the type of request. Let's get the body. Basically, the body will be await request.text. All right. This is just basic web API stuff which is being happening. Now for the webhooks to work, let me just show you what is being done over here. The endpoint secret, we'll get this from the CLI for testing independent locally. If using the endpoint, you will get the webhook secret after basically creating this endpoint over here. But for this, basically, you need to check that this signature is there, and by constructing the event, you want to see that the construction is done properly. And if the construction is done properly, the webhook is working properly for you, else we close the route there and then itself. So for this, let's get the signature. Basically, we get the headers from next/headers, and headers.get stripe-signature. If that, then let's go let event would be stripe.event. All right, now try catch. If there is an error, basically you want to return an response here. Let me just copy paste this. We want to return this over here. If it is the error is an instance of error, then error.message, else it is an unknown error, and basically it is a webhook error, and status 400 is bad request. We go event, let's set that to Stripe. Let's import that from add/lib/Stripe dot webhooks dot construct event. We want to pass in a few things over here. One is the body, one is the signature, and the other is the process.env.stripe webhook secret. If that does not exist, then let's go like that. All right. So if this is done properly, the webhook signature is working properly, and the Stripe endpoint will work correctly for you. Now let's get the session, which will be in the event. So we go const session is equal to event dot data dot object, and we set that to be equal to this. Basically, session is now a stripe.checkout.session, which is the session which is being created in the actions. Let me just see this session. Basically, this is the session which we have over here as well, and we will get the access to the metadata as well now. Because we're getting access to that metadata, we have the user ID to which the data is to be appended or updated to, right? So if session dot metadata dot user ID does not exist, then let's just say, I mean, we don't even need this. Let's just say it is fine, because say it is a Stripe ID which is not doing that basically, right? We'll just say it is success. We don't need to do anything further from that. Now, there are two event types which we need to manage over here. If we look at event type over here, this is between a few things. It's just, okay, this is a string, but basically it has a few types which we need to look at. Payment intent succeeded, subscription schedule cancelled, all these things over here. So you can see all the supported events over here. You can go through all these events. There are two events which we need to manage basically. One is the checkout.session.completed, which is this one. Checkout.session.completed happens when the session, when we click on this and it goes to the checkout session and that is completed, we go checkout.session.completed. The second is invoice.payment underscore succeeded. That can happen also when the subscription is being renewed, right? That is the difference between checkout.session.completed and invoice.payment underscore succeeded. Again, repeating it, checkout.session.completed happens only when the checkout session has been completed, when the billing has happened basically, and invoice.payment underscore succeeded can happen even when the payment is being renewed. So let's check these two over here. Let's go event.type. If it is checkout.session.completed, make sure there is no typo here, else it won't work. Alright, so let's get the subscription basically. First of all, from stripe.subscriptions.retrieve, we need to pass in the session.subscription. This can be a string or subscription. We just send it as string. This is the subscription ID basically, and we pass into this, so we get the subscription. Then what we do is we await db.user.update, where the ID is session.metadata.user ID, and the data is these four things. Let me copy paste again. So we get Stripe subscription ID is subscription.id, Stripe customer ID, Stripe subscription.customer, Stripe price ID, all these, and all these are there in the documentation. You can look that through if you want. The current period end is basically 1000 divided by it, so you need to multiply it by 1000 to make it a valid date in our format basically, and this is the price ID. So these are the four things which we wanted to update, and that is done. Now when it is being renewed basically, right, which is invoice.payment underscore succeeded, make sure that there is no typo again. All right, let's get the subscription again and see all these. It has pretty much done what I wanted. I also want to just get this right. We don't really need this as well, but we'll have it just in case. Subscription is await stripe.subscriptions.retrieve, etc, etc. We update the user, we change the stripe current period end in the case of an renewal basically, the auto renewal thing. If all this is done properly, we can just return a new response which is null and the status of 200. This is the webhook done. You know what? That might have been just, I think, are pretty much done with the app itself. Let's just look at this right now. We have these four. Say I want to, I should have had the price somewhere over here in the card. That is my bad. Add that if you want, but basically this will renew with the 649 one. Say this is going to come in basic only. Let's just see. That is pretty new. I don't know what that is. The modal which is popping up, that didn't come up before. It didn't work. Oh, we didn't listen to it yet. We still haven't listened to it yet. Basically, we need to first of all get the Stripe subscription listening, right? So we need to do this over here. So in the package.json, we need to make this listen to it. So we go Stripe :listen would be a good endpoint. This is one I took from Sadman's repository. Pretty cool how that works. Basically, I'll just go pnpm Stripe. Oh, you can't see it again. 1 second. Pnpm Stripe :listen. What that will do is basically, in the logged in user, it will get me up and running with a webhook locally and copy this API key over here. All right. What you want to do next is check out the process.env. Something is being used here, right? Stripe underscore web underscore secret. We'll go and paste whatever we just copied. Oh my goodness. Secret. And paste that over there. And let me get my picture back down. So I have this here. That should be it actually. Also, you see that this is completed now. Amazing. Let's just refresh, and this time it should work ideally. Let me wait for this to load. Okay, that took way longer than it should have, but Next's development server is a little bit too slow now, and that's been a talking point. They have done a lot to get it improved now, but it does give a few issues now and then. Do I have an error? Why is this taking so long? Should I restart the server once maybe? Yeah, let's try that actually. Let's refresh this. Close this npm run dev once. Let's reload this page. I have enabled this, which is good, and it is compiling the billing page. Okay, I restarted the server. It should be working now. Let's go to premium, and it's redirected to the right Stripe subscription. Let's go put. Let's see Jane on that. Let's see if this works. It's processing. Open the modal, which I don't know what it does till now. Processing goes back in a second or two. It is loading back. See the loader at the top. Still didn't work, did it? It went to the webhook endpoint. Oh my goodness. Okay, making a lot of mistakes today. But see this, it is basically listening to /API/webhooks. We need to listen to /API/webhooks/Stripe. Okay, so it will basically send a post request to that now. It is returning 404 right now. It should return a 200 or a 400. Let me do that again. I need to restart this command. And that might have changed the secret. Did it change the secret? 4 ends with a 4, starts with a 2, F4, B, F4. Yeah, that's the same. Let me just refresh once. Quickly click on this again. Bear with me over here. That was bad. Photo. Let's go another name. I guess Kavin Valli is fine. I did Kavin Desi Valli once. I just wanted to put in different names to see that Stripe is taking it properly. Worked. Finally, we're getting the manage subscription button now. Basically says that I've subscribed to the premium one properly. And let's add a card over here just to show what we have subscribed to. And I will get that from my reference repository. Billing page. Yeah, just above that div, I will add this. Basically, subscription plan dot name. If we have subscribed, if we have not subscribed, then you're not subscribed to any plan. Else, if it is cancelled, then it will be cancelled on this. Else, it will be renewed on this. Basically, that to local date string, and that is working. So that is it for this video. Let me just show that cancel it. Oh, not. Oh, also, if I click on something else, it will still go to manage. It doesn't. That is cool. Okay. If I want to subscribe to something else, you can do it like that. But you can also go and cancel this premium plan over here. Oh, also, if you're having to get that working, basically, you need to go to this page, all right? I will /dashboards.stripe.com/test/settings/billing/portal, and then click on save changes button, which will pop up here once, else this page won't show up. It will say something like you need to get this page set up. Just click on save changes. It will be enabled the first time you're going to it. Just click on that. Say I cancelled this plan, all right? I cancel the plan. That's fine. Return. And it will say your plan will be cancelled on this now. So that is it for this video. It was a 1 hour 10 minutes long video, and that was probably much longer than it should have been, but I wanted to cover Stripe subscriptions, the Webhooks API, which is a little hard to comprehend because the docs honestly aren't that good with the webhooks. If I just look at Stripe docs. Let's look at the API reference, but took me a while to wrap my head over it, and looking at the reference repositories over here did help a lot. Where's the reference? One second. Yeah, these resources, the 3 tabs, the taxonomy and Sadman's skate shop. So this project will be up deployed by the time this video is up. And the description will have the link for the same. I will have the final code inside the repository. You can clone the starter code and try this out by yourself. And yeah, that is mainly it. So that is it for this video. I hope you like this this was a tiring one, to be honest, but I hope you guys like this, and that is it for this video. For more such content, please like, share and subscribe, and keep watching. Goodbye.